Hello everybody, I'm Tim Blair, and it's time for the Clay County Times-Democrat Weekly Web Update, brought to you by Pickett State Bank. Pickett State Bank, member FDIC, and an equal housing lender. Welcome to the update for the week of February 27, 2013. And as the month of February draws to a close, we all wonder if March will come in like a lion, as we do have a chance of some winter weather in the forecast for the coming weekend. Of course, you can always check the weather forecast 24/7 right here on our ClayCountyTimesDemocrat.com website. It's located either right here or somewhere down here on the page. We also have the moon phase indicator at the bottom of the page, and that'll tell you that the moon is waning currently, as we had a full moon back on Monday. The almanac for the coming week is favorable for planting cold weather crops, at least indoors. We'd also like to remind everyone that daylight savings time for 2013 begins early in the morning, Sunday, March 10th. So don't forget to make plans to set your clocks ahead 1 hour that night as we spring forward for 2013. Well, today I'm here in front of the Matilda and Carl Pfeiffer Museum and Study Center in Pickett, home of one of the most extensive and privately held mineral and gem collections in the world. Now, earlier this week, the trustees returned from the world's biggest mineral and gem show in Tucson. They brought back, I believe, a total of 6 new specimens. We'll have a complete story on that and some great photography coming up in next week's print edition of the Clay County Times-Democrat and also in our online edition. Now, highlighting stories in the February 27th edition, we've got all the details and some great photos from the Area 1 Special Olympics event was held last week at Pickett High School. Plus, we've got a photo gallery of over 40 images from the event that can be found here on our website right down here. Ryan Rogers has updates on the fire and rector that destroyed Weaver Transmission in that tragic shooting that occurred there last week. We also had details on the Pickett City Council meeting as they heard about the proposed change of the cable system operator locally and how that could impact you. Ryan also has a report on the state basketball tournament that's going on this week down at Marmaduke and how that impacts the local economy. Now in sports, Ryan also has an update on the basketball seasons just completed by both the Rector boys and girls teams, and I'll have a recap of the Lady Mohawks as well as we look back on their season. Trent Fletcher from one of our sister papers, he has the details on the Lady Greyhounds' roll through the regional as they beat BIC in the championship game up at Bowden. And we also have a preview of the Mohawk baseball team and their upcoming season. We'd also like to remind you that and more is available in this week's print and online editions of the Clay County Times-Democrat. And that's a week look back. Let's look ahead. It was just 30 years ago this past week that the Pickett Mohawks played in a regional tournament at Westside, their first postseason appearance, and they lost to Gosselin in that ball game. Also from 1983, advertising by Associated Natural Gas that year blamed the recent natural gas price increases on deregulation that occurred back in 1979. At that point, that was well before fracking, the price of natural gas from 1979 to 1983 rose 271%. Historical events and birthdays coming up in the next week include it was March 1st, 1961, the Peace Corps was formed. And 4 years later, the U.S. informed South Vietnam that troops were being sent into that country, that in 1965. 4 years later on that date, in 1969, the great Mickey Mantle retired from baseball. March 2nd is the anniversary of Texas's independence back in 1836, and also on that date in 1962, that's the date Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points in a ball game. And of course, you probably know there are no photographs from that game, just him holding up a picture that says, a piece of paper that says 100 points. So that was interesting. It was also on March 4th of 2005 when Martha Stewart was released from federal prison. Born on that date were Knute Rockne in 1888, and racer Jim Clark in 1936, and my big brother Jim on 1953. March 6th, the anniversary of Bayer patenting aspirin back in 1899. Rob Reiner was born in 1947, and the death spiral of the music sharing site Napster began on that date in 2001. Well, with that, we wrap up this edition of the Clay County Times-Democrat Weekly Web Update, brought to you by Pickett State Bank, member of FDIC and an equal housing lender. Now, we'd like to remind everyone that we have a new publication from our parent company, the Delta Voice, which will be premiering in the coming week. Now, if you want more details on the new publication and how you might win cash, that's right, cash, you have to get the print edition. So get the February 27th print edition of the Clay County Times-Democrat, or pick up next week's paper. Check that out. It's a new publication, the Delta Voice, coming out. I think you're going to be pleased with that. And with that, we wrap things up. We leave you with more scenes from the recent Area 1 Special Olympics basketball competition at Pickett High School. Until next time, this is Tim Blair.
You say, Toledo?